This is the Musclecat Media Network. It's the Outback QB Daily, and this is the opening day of the 2024 NFL season. Kansas City at Baltimore. We're giving you our Week 1 tips. Let's go. Good morning, NFL fans. What a time to be alive. It's the start of the 2024 NFL season. We've got you covered on the Musclecat Media Network with the Outback QB podcasts, 2 of them these days. Today, I'm giving you all of my tips for the weekend. Now, this is not betting advice. It's not a betting show. It never has been. We don't do any betting stuff. I don't bet myself. I've never gambled. I just don't do it. Nothing against it. Just not for me. So don't take this as advice. You guys do what you want with your money and with your lives. But I'm just giving you my tips for fun because I like to talk about NFL, and I'll give you a couple of my reasons very quickly as we go through all 16 games in 10 minutes or less, and we'll see how we come out. I'm nervous, though. It's a tough slate of games. It starts today in about half an hour with Baltimore taking on the Chiefs at Arrowhead. No Hollywood Brown for Kansas City. We know that he was declared out because of that shoulder injury, so Rashee Rice leads the line. Xavier Worthy's playing. Travis Kelce's playing. Let's see what that Chiefs offense looks like. The 3 out of 5 Super Bowl winning Chiefs. I'm going with them because they're just so professional. Yes, I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan, but even though they lost opening night last year against the Lions, I think they've got enough grit in them today to get it done. But who knows? Because Baltimore now have Derrick Henry. So Lamar and Derrick Henry, I'm excited to see how that looks, but I'm going with the Chiefs in a narrow one. Then tomorrow, we've got the Packers and the Eagles, and you'll hear a review of that game on Sunday, and you'll hear a review of the KC-Baltimore game tomorrow on this very show. But Packers and Eagles in Brazil, can't get a read on that. I mean, it's so hard because the Eagles, we know, capitulated down the stretch last year. The Packers looked so good, won a playoff. Does that translate into early season form? I'm not sure. My head is telling me Eagles, but that said, all offseason I've been saying, I'm not so sure about the Eagles, and I've been on the Packers, so I'm going to say the Packers. Let's go. Let's get it done, Jordan Love. He was so good to watch at the end of last year, sort of like a mini version of the Texans with just about 10% less hype, but they're the Packers, so they're going to have a huge amount of hype going into this year. Let's see what they could do. Let's tip the Packers there. The Steelers and the Falcons. First of the early games. Now, it's 2:30 a.m., Adelaide time on Monday, 3 o'clock Melbourne and Sydney and elsewhere. So good luck getting up, guys. I don't know what time I'm going to get up. It's a challenge. I think 4:30 has been about as much as I can handle in the past, and then I catch up on the games during the day pre-pod because I got to be fresh. I got to be fresh for that Monday night recording. I don't know how you guys get through your work day if you're up at 2:30. Pittsburgh and Atlanta. You look at a few things. You look at Mike Tomlin in charge. You look at what he did with very, very average quarterbacks last year, and you go, Russ is surely an upgrade on that, right? Is he, though? I mean, he is, but how good is he? How much can he bring this offense together? Will it click straight away? Will the Atlanta offense click straight away? We've got Kirk Cousins there coming off a torn Achilles, brand new offense for him, and a couple of scars there with how they played last year and how they were underutilized and all those sorts of things. Drake London must be getting frustrated. Bijan Robinson must have been frustrated in year 1. Kyle Pitts has done a hammy. Where are we going here? This is a dead set 50-50 as well. I'm going to go with Steelers. Steelers in an upset. Come on, Russ. Don't let me down, man. The Cardinals and the Bills. I feel like I'm tipping upsets all over the place because I, on the Outback QB main show this week, said that Arizona, and this was in gutsy calls, so we go a little crazy here, but I said that Arizona may be 3-1, will be 3-1 at the end of the season. We're about a 1 out of 6 success rate with gutsy calls. That's about the right ratio. So there's a 5 and 6 chance this doesn't happen, but I can just see Arizona being really, really spunky to start the year, I should say. They're a team that still has some holes, certainly on defense, but they've got a few elements now that they've added. And I want to see Marvin Harrison. I'm not banking it all on that. But they had a good first year under Jonathan Gannon, outperformed their roster, showed some good synergy. Kyler Murray, it's now the year after for the ACL, and he's quietly, hopefully, becoming one of the better QBs in the NFL again. And the Bills, I think they're a mess. On offense. And they've also lost so much experience on defense as well. People aren't talking about that enough. They're not talking about it enough. Tre'Davious White's gone. Jordan Poyer's gone. Micah Hyde injured, out for the year. So I think the Bills are in a rebuild. I've said it many times. I don't think they'll make playoffs, and I think Arizona get a huge upset win here. And their Bills are strong favourites because they got Josh Allen, so fair enough. Cardinals for me. Tennessee Titans at Chicago Bears. Now, most people are tipping the Bears. They're the favourites. It's at home for them, obviously. Caleb Williams makes his debut. Keenan Allen's been battling a heel, but he'll play, I'm pretty sure, at this stage. Then they've got that new revamped offense Williams, Allen, DJ Moore was there last year, but looking so good, and Roma Dunze. Does that mean it all clicks? No, and certainly doesn't mean that for the Chicago Bears. We know what this franchise can do with hope. They can throw it in the trash. But I think they've got a lot more juice than the Tennessee Titans do. The Titans, man, they don't excite me at all. I quite like Will Levis. I think he's going to be a solid starting NFL quarterback for a number of years, but man, rookie head coach Brian Callahan's got a fair bit of work to do there. And I'm starting to trust the Flus, Matt Eberflus. He's starting to gain my trust a bit. I was critical of the whole Justin Fields thing, but you know what? I reckon they got it right. And I think Caleb will go okay in this game. I think they'll sneak home for a win. New England Patriots at the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a game that if it was, say, week 13 last year, the Patriots would have just randomly won. But I don't think in week 1 they'll do it because, Brissett's under center. We know that they'll hold May out for a little while. Joey B for the Bengals, I should say, started very poorly last year and then he got injured. So as long as we don't see a repeat of that disaster, the Bengals should do this and they should do it easily because the talent on their roster is crazy. However, there are a couple of caveats. Joe Burrow's wrist is surgically repaired. Okay, is he what he was? I hope so. Jamar Chase is still holding in with that contract stuff, so I hope he plays. I think he will. Surely he'll play. But if Chase doesn't play, I still think the Bengals win, but maybe the Pats have a sniff. Texans at Colts. This is a nice AFC South matchup to start. So we see Anthony Richardson back fit again versus CJ Stroud. What a matchup that is. I've talked up the Texans so much this year, and I think they're going to be a professional unit, but I do think the Colts are good too under Shane Steichen. They're another team that outperformed what they should have last year with Gardner Minshew under center, did really well. They're in contention for playoffs and deserved to be there. So if JT's back to his best, then they're a really interesting team, the Colts, but I'm going with the Texans week 1. I've got a lot of faith in Stroud and co. Maybe too much. The Jaguars at the Dolphins. Another early window game. I really like the Dolphins, especially early in the season, and I think they're just going to have too much speed for this Jaguars offense. They're like a bull at a gate. They come out absolutely roaring at the start of a season when everyone's fresh and healthy. I can't wait to see Tua throw to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle again, and I can't wait to see this three-headed monster, the running attack of Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane, one of my favourite players in the whole league, and draftee Jalen Wright. What can the three of them do together? As for the Jags, well, look, Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker, they got a couple of big dudes in the backfield. How much disruption can that front line cause? Hines-Allen, I think, is a superstar. If he was at another team, he would be seen as one of the top 3 or 4 edge rushers in the league. And I think he's a chance. He's a sneaky depoy winner this year, Defensive Player of the Year. If he can get just ever so slightly more sacks than he did last year and bump himself up almost to 20, which I think is possible because he's been around the 15-16 mark for the last couple of years. I reckon he's a real chance, particularly as Walker develops and gets better alongside him. Anyway, I want to see Lawrence. I want to see ETN. I want to see if this offense is developing. What can Brian Thomas Jr., the draft pick, do early? I think it'll take a little while to come on, but eventually he should be their number 1. Still, I think the Jags have got a few too many question marks at the moment, and the Dolphins are pretty settled, so let's go for the Dolphins there. The Carolina Panthers and the New Orleans Saints. What a chance this is for the Panthers to actually get off to a positive start. And a few people have tipped them. However, I just haven't seen enough from them. Last year, they were a disaster. This off-season's not filled me with confidence, so I'm going with the Saints, even though they don't fill me with much confidence either. I think they are solid enough with Derek Carr, solid enough to hopefully get it done. Interesting one. The Minnesota Vikings at the New York Giants. I'm going with the Vikings, although I do hope to see the Giants put something together, especially with Brian Burns in the defense now. Daniel Jones just needs a confidence boost. I said on our preview show this week that both teams desperately need this because Minnesota have a shockingly tough draw after this, like ridiculous, and the Giants just need a win to show that they can win again. And Daniel Jones is a worthy quarterback. If anyone in the league needs a confidence boost week 1, it's him. But I think the Vikings get it done because I'm a little believer in Sam Darnold. What else have we got? The Raiders at the Chargers. Nice AFC West matchup there. I think the Raiders have no juice outside of Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins, who they've acquired from Miami. That said, the Chargers under Jim Harbaugh, who knows what we will get. Justin Herbert is not throwing to a lot. Can they put up enough points to win this? I think they can in a low-scoring game, but I'm not tipping this one to reach any great heights. Chargers in a close one. Denver at Seattle, late window. Interesting matchup, this one. A lot of hype recently over Bo Nix because he looked pretty good in preseason, but let's not go crazy there. I think the Sean Payton Denver Broncos team will be decent. They'll be very competitive. They'll be gritty this year, but there's still a few holes left there. So I think Seattle are professional enough to get this done. Hopefully Gino puts in a good performance. Interesting one. I don't think there's a single game that I don't want to watch this week. Maybe Raiders Chargers is probably the lowest on the list, but even then, and Panthers Saints, but I'd happily sit down and watch all of those for 3 hours. All right, so I'll go with Seattle there. Dallas, Dallas at Cleveland. I've tipped Dallas to win the NFC East only because of a lack of confidence in the Eagles, but I'm not particularly hot on the Cowboys either because I just don't think they've improved that much this year. And you know how I rate the Browns. If Deshaun Watson just becomes a mediocre quarterback this year, then they're a chance to go all the way. Their defense is awesome. I think the Browns will win this one at home. Even though the Cowboys are the favorite, the Browns will win this one at home. Washington at Tampa Bay. Another interesting game. In Tampa Bay, obviously the Bucs, they're a playoff team. You can't deny that. When Baker's on, they are a playoff winning team. So, what do they do against the Commanders? This is a team that's quietly on the rise. Jaden Daniels is obviously the main point of intrigue in this game, and their rebuilt O-line as well. They've got a few new faces there. Nick Allegretti, Tyler Biadasz, who's a nice little addition at center from Dallas. But I think the Bucs can get it done. The wise heads of Mayfield, of Mike Evans, of Chris Godwin, and a solid D. I think the Bucs win this one, but Commanders are a real chance to run it down to the edge. The Rams at the Lions. I can't go past the Lions, even though you never, ever, ever underestimate a Sean McVay team. Never do it. It'll come back to bite you. But that said, I'm going the Lions because, man, what a team they were to watch last year. There's so much hype about them. They're looking good. They're fit. They're ready to go. They've got some superstars, offense and defense. Let's have a look. It'll be interesting. The thread this year for the Rams is, there's twofold for me. Maybe threefold. Matt Stafford's fitness. If he's fit, he showed us how good he was last year. He's still so good. Underrated, Matt Stafford. Number two, what are they like post Aaron Donald? They had Kobe Turner breakout last year. They've drafted in that area. That's what they focused on. So how does that D-line mesh? They've thrown a few resources at it to try and replace the irreplaceable Donald. But I think if any team can pull that off, it's them. Byron Young was the other one as well, who was really strong last year. And also Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams. Both of those guys were offensive superstars last year. Williams when he was fit, Nacua all year. So let's see what they do. The news that Kyron Williams is returning punts this year has me worried, but let's have a look. And finally, we got Monday Night Football, and this is the one that I said I was most looking forward to for the whole weekend, and it's true. Can't wait to sit down on Tuesday morning, our time. There'll be a review of that on this very show as well. The New York Jets at the San Francisco 49ers. We know the issues with the 49ers preseason. We know the issues with the Jets in their history, their last 50 years. So there's always something that can derail the Jets. There's always some curse, always some tragedy that will befall them. But not this time. They're going to get it done. Aaron Rodgers to put in a strong performance. All right. That's my tips for week 1. Tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me where I'm right. Podcast at outbackqb.com. Of course, you can follow us on Instagram, OutbackQB Podcast, and on YouTube. Make sure, if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe and hit the dinger to get notifications. Enjoy week 1, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.